The month of December has definitely been a rough one for Pokemon cards. Prices are down, and I'm definitely feeling the effects of it at my store. The month of December has been the worst month than the last 6. There have been some very big market swings in these last couple weeks. Mega Dream EX boxes, for example, have gone down from 130, 135 a box to around 90. We're talking 25+% swings in a matter of weeks. However, I'm not worried, and I also think there's a golden opportunity right now that I don't think is being talked about enough. Check this out. If you're new here, my name's Alex. I own PokeLegends TCG, an online Pokemon card shop, and we've done over $125,000 in sales in 2025. Now, I think there are a couple reasons for the dip. I think that Phantasmal Flames was a weaker set. I think that it was too small. It was one of the smallest sets in the last 10 years. I think that, it was a huge mistake putting the Oricorio SAR and the Charizard UPC as a promo card and not a card you can pull from the set. I don't think it could afford one less big pull in the set. And I think with it being so small, the SARs, like the Mega Charizard, it's easier to pull with it being a smaller set than if it would be in, Mega Evolutions or a normal size set. Basic math, right? The smaller the set, the easier the card is to pull. The other contributing factor is news about the printing facility getting built in North Carolina. It's getting built by Millennium Print Group, which is owned by Pokemon, and they do print other cards from other TCGs. However, I think it's fair to say that the main motivation behind this is to print Pokemon cards to fix what's been happening in the last year. Now, this is interesting because there are some people that thought that, at least to a certain extent, Pokemon was creating this supply and demand problem on purpose to hype up the brand. Even though, mind you, Pokemon's been putting out statements the whole time saying that, look, we're printing to maximum capacity and we're trying to get as much product out there into the market. And I think that the signing of this new facility, this new lease, puts that argument to bed. I think Pokemon was telling the truth. And this means something interesting. I think this means that Pokemon doesn't have any more levers to pull to print out more product. And with this facility being built in 2027, it's not going to have any effect on anything printed in the last year, and probably nothing printed in the 2026, at least the first couple sets. This is because Pokemon just doesn't go back that far to do reprints. 18 months usually is about it. You never see Pokemon going back 3 or 4 years. They're never going to do a reprint of Evolving Skies. So when you kind of put all these things together, Pokemon has all but admitted that they're not going to be able to fix a supply and demand problem in the near future. And then you combine that with the fact, look at the last few sets we've gotten, guys. Prismatic Evolutions, Destined Rivals, there are a lot of fan favorites in White Flare and Black Bolt. Some people say that Gen 5 was the best gen. There are tons of fan favorite Pokemon that have been printed in the last year. Think about it. How many times have they done a Team Rocket set? I think it's less than 5, right? That have been a Team Rocket set. Destined Rivals is going to be an iconic set for years to come. So when you think about that and how, basically the sets that have been printed in the last year have been short, and with the printing facility going up in 2027, keep in mind, it takes time for cards to go from the press to packaging to on the shelves at your local retail store. Most people say it takes 10 months or more. So that means it could be well into 2028 by the time anything printed from this facility even hits shelves. And then you start thinking about the SIRs in our recent sets is a relatively new style. That sort of style where you get a peek into the Pokemon world. That sort of art style is still relatively new, and how we've got so many iconic sets, and now that we're seeing with the signing of this new facility, this new lease, that Pokemon doesn't have the ability to just flood the market with these sets. Like, they're not going to have the ability to put a dent in the market with these sets. And then you start thinking about the market dip. Is that more just because of one set? Is that more just from the perception of the market, resetting because of something that's going to happen in 2028 and beyond? And, another thing to keep in mind for the month of December, there is a lot of money getting spent on presents for the holidays. People only have so much money left over from rent and living expenses, and a lot of that leftover money went towards Christmas presents for their family, for their loved ones. And I don't know about you, but I don't buy Pokemon cards for my aunt or for my uncle or for my grandmother. So people don't have a whole lot of leftover money from the month of December to spend on Pokemon cards. So it does make sense that there would be a temporary market dip in the month of December anyways. And I am a newer store, but I've been through December one time before already. My store's been around for 18 months, and I've been around during the last, the holidays. And, the same thing happened then. I saw a dip in sales. I think it creates a huge area of opportunity to buy these sets. The sets that have been released in the last year: Destined Rivals, Prismatic Evolutions, White Flare and Black Bolt. These sets, it's a great opportunity because, reprints aren't coming. I think that's what ultimately what this means. Reprints aren't coming for these sets. At least not to an extent that's going to make a dent in the supply and demand gap. And then, keep in mind that investments into Pokemon cards, that generally pays off over the long run. And I think that, with the confirmation that these sets are like, they're a hype train that isn't going to be stopped now. Not anytime soon. Also, getting into, 2028 and beyond, I think there is a little bit of a misconception that, as soon as the printing facility is up and running, that Pokemon is just gonna go to maximum capacity and just flood the market. I think this is false. Pokemon has no reason to do that. No one wants a reenactment of Battle Styles, Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, no one does, including Pokemon. Ultimately, what this facility is going to do is it's going to give Pokemon more control over, look, I don't think ETBs being double MSRP just a couple months after release is healthy for the hobby either. Destined Rivals ETBs are double MSRP, so are Prismatic Evolutions. Booster boxes are way over MSRP. Just a couple months after release. I don't think that's healthy either. I think what Pokemon is going to do is create a balance between supply and demand, and this facility is going to give them the ability to do that. So, for example, instead of something selling out in a couple hours, maybe it lasts the entire day. Let's say 24 to 48 hours it sells out. I think that would be a much better balance than what we're seeing now. So guys, I hope you enjoy this content. Please consider liking and subscribing. And I try to respond to every single comment, especially to my long form videos. So, please consider leaving a comment. More content soon. Love you guys. Peace.